Greetings, salutations, and all good things in between. What's up, everyone? Matt here. Happy Friday. I hope you had a good week. Got a lot of stuff done. I don't know about you, but I've been crazy productive. Oh man, this AI stuff, whoo! Talking about like 21st century like workflows, amazing. All right, so what do we have this week? All right, well, there's been some news out there in the AppSheet land. If you've been paying attention, you've seen there's some pretty good stuff that's come down the line. I have some news that I'm going to be talking about, big things that are in the works. I'm going to do a deep dive on a rather complex topic called parallel processing records. It's an idea I've been toying around with for a while, trying to solve some problems with running a serial execution in automation, which runs in parallel. So the two don't mix, you can't do them the same way. This PPR table, parallel processing record, solves that problem pretty much across the board. So it's rather complex. I'm just gonna scratch the surface today, but I'll go over that. And then of course, at the end of the live stream, I always like to do a live Q&A section. So if you have any questions for things that you're working on, problems, roadblocks you've run into, whatever, put them in the chat and I will get to them at the end. All right, everyone, thanks for joining. Do appreciate it. Let's do it. All right, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Do appreciate it. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is just kind of a PSA for any of my Patreon supporters, or in the future, anybody that shows up, that signs up for the Wanderer tier. Talk about that in a moment. I have changed the name of the private folder that I have, the Google Drive folder that's got all these resources and things that I've made. It was called Guides Patreon, which wasn't very you could search for Patreon and that would find it, but it wasn't really very helpful. I've got a lot of feedback from individuals that they were unable to find what these things are that I'm putting out there, or what I'm talking about. So in order to make it easier for people to find, I renamed the folder. And so it's now called MultiTech's Resources and Tools, and then you can't see the whole name. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Right here. There we go. It's now called MultiTech's Resources and Tools Patreon. The idea being, when you come to your Google Drive and you're looking for something, you could just search for MultiTech, right? That's going to find this right away. You'd search for Patreon. That's going to find it as well. And so you come into your drive here and you're dropped in here and you're trying to find what you're looking for. You can just come up here and search for MultiTech, and it's going to be one of the first things that pops up. That's just a little PSA I wanted to throw out there for all of my Wanderer supporters. So if you're trying to find stuff, trying to make it easier. In the same vein of making it easier to find all of the resources and tools and everything that I've got going on, which is a lot when you do an inventory of it all, I am proud to announce a soft launch for a new app that I'm putting out that is basically a portal for all things MultiTech Visions, right? Like, why not create an AppSheet app that is a centralized place where everything that I've got going on is in that? Just go to the app, there it is. And that is what I've got going on here. There's a lot going on in this answer portal, but if you go to multitechvisions.com/answer portal, I've also redirected a whole bunch of these things. You could go to multitechvisions.com/answers, answer portal with like a space or with an underscore or with I put a whole bunch of stuff out there. But multitechvisions.com/answer portal or answers will get you there. I will drop this link in the chat right now. There you go. head on over there, check it out. There are multiple things that you can do inside this, and I'm really nesting a lot of things inside. Just scratching off the surface here. So just to throw it out, there's a private side, which is what the link will take you to. And then there's a private side. There's a public and private. The public side allows you to, I have a nice thing where you can see my last live stream here. If you go over to the menu, you can see all the stuff that I've got going on. So the home page shows you, this. Any kind of new notifications will be inside this notifications list right here. And then you can see, I've got various things, right? So all the skills that I kind of associate with building an AppSheet app. Now I'm talking about things like data. Here's, let me go. Just let me show them to you. I'm talking about things like table design. So data modeling, data normalization. How about actions like the quick update system and looping, the current user system, using just like how to set up the slice, how to do role-based permissions, how to make an enhanced dashboard, how to use note parameters. So like how to use them. Now, obviously, there's not very many things inside this list right now. Well, that's because this is a soft launch, and I basically need to sit down and spend hours taking everything in my head and putting it inside these three little tables right here. But this will give everybody the ability to dig through the things that I consider important aspects of building an AppSheet app. I'm going to include all kinds of stuff in here. I'm talking from start to absolute finish to everything in between to all the remote edge cases that are way out there that you'll never encounter. Yeah, all of these things, all of them. I'm putting them all in here. And so this would be a place where you can kind of come through and see what's going on. Now, hold on. Hold that thought. Let me go on. The other things I have available, right? Resources and tools. So this is in the same vein as I've gotten a lot of feedback from my Patreon supporters that it's difficult to find the resources. And when people eventually discover some of these things that I have out there, like I always get the comment, I had no idea this was there. This is great. It's like, yeah, I know. I need to make it easier for people to find. So inside the answer portal, in the resources and tools, I've created basically a database of all of the resources that I have inside that Patreon MultiTech resources and tools folder. That's everything inside here. You can see I've got all the auto tables are listed here. I've got auto table guides, dev checklist is here. So I've got helpful tables, mock data, OpenAI stuff, protocol guides, scripts that'll help you do whatever. All of this is expanding, especially the OpenAI and the script stuff and the auto tables. Man, I got plans. Big things coming this year. It's going to be crazy. But like, yeah. So this is going to be a place. And okay, I should mention some of these things are private. So if you come inside here and you can see it's got this get access thing going on, you got to get access to it. I'm trying to think. Let's see. So like dev checklist. Yeah. So like this dev checklist one. Yeah. I'm going to have to fix that. Yeah. Okay. There's a bug. Found a bug. Yeah. There's a bug. All right. Fair enough. So got stuff to work on, but all right. Resources and tools, skills. I have a list of the projects that I'm working on. This is by no means a comprehensive list. Like this was, I just threw the current stuff that I've kind of been working on. Like I have 50 things I need to throw in here and then a whole bunch of stuff that's planned. The idea being everybody can see what I've got going on. You can see what I'm currently working on. You can vote if you sign up for secure access. I'll talk about that in a minute. If you sign up for one of the higher support tiers, you can suggest things. You'll be able to add things to this list. Good stuff. But the idea being I've got a ton of things in the works, and this would be a good place for people to be able to see what I'm working on. Obviously, I'm going to have a space for all of my live streams, and I've just started. I'm not sure if I'll go back and get any of the older ones. We'll see. Now for the big announcement. I'm expanding the support tiers that I have available. So currently, like before now, right, all I had was my Patreon thing. And that was, Really, I didn't provide a whole lot of support there. It was just the access to all of the tools and things, which you can see there's a lot over there. So I've gotten a lot of feedback from patrons, and they've said things like, well, I would really love to have some sort of a stronger engagement with you. So to that effort, I'm opening up new support tiers, and it's all managed through this answer portal. There's 4 tiers here. So you've got the Wanderer tier, which is the one that everybody that's a Patreon supporter right now, you're all on this one. You can see it's $10 a month. Basically, you just get access to everything. For $20 a month, you get secure access to the app. And this is the one where, in time, I'm eventually going to open this up and I'm going to add more features and everything. But for the start, right now, what this does is it allows you to more easily manage your messages and previous threads that you have for support with me. I'll touch on that in a second. So this makes it easier to do all of that. For $50 a month, you can get priority access, joining the Initiate tier. On this tier, you also get, so I have all of those lists of skills. I'm in the current process of building a skill assessment thing. And for this, you'll be able to have a quarterly assessment where you can go through, and over time, you can keep track of how you're progressing on your skills, what you're working on, what you're not making skill progress on, what's important to you, what's not important to you, blah, 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 blah. And then every quarter, you'll do an assessment of that. And if you want, I can take a gander at it and give you some suggestions on maybe you should focus on these things. So that's what I got planned for the Initiate tier. And then at the very end here, I have the Apprentice tier. So for $100 a month, you get access to the secure app. You get goal tracking. So what are your goals? What do you want to do? I'm in the process of building a giant system to help manage this with suggestions. And yeah, I'm basically, what I did for the past couple of weeks was I held a mirror up to myself and I said, okay, I'm the client. And then there was a little bit of crazy inside there because it was like, all right, so what do you do? Well, I offer support to people. Okay, what kind of support? What do you want to do? Well, I'd like to do this, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, what about doing this? Oh, that would be really fun. Yeah, it was a little crazy there in a moment. But the result of all of that was I basically took all this stuff that I do with everybody on the internet around this AppSheet support stuff and all of that, and figured out the system to manage and organize all of that. That's this. A lot of fun. Going back to the tiers. So, Wanderer, Student, Initiate, and Apprentice. The Apprentice tier, so the Initiate, Student, and Wanderer are open for everybody. As you can see, there's a little tag underneath them there. The Apprentice tier is limited, so there's only a limited amount of space. I only have 24 slots that are available. So if you would like to reserve one of these slots, you can see they're already starting to disappear. Head over here and click the claim button, and that will begin a whole process to gain access to the secure side of the stuff. All right, enough of that. The rest of these things inside this app are self-explanatory. What's the meat and potatoes of this thing? The meat and potatoes of this is send me a message, I'll answer your question. The problem that I have right now is that I have people that reach out to me from Patreon, they do it on the Patreon platform. So I got to go over there to answer it. I have people that reach out to me through Google Chat. I have people that email me, people that text me, people that call me, people that are on Slack, people that are on Discord, people that are on Reddit, people that, you get what I mean? I've got all of these different places on the internet where people reach out to me for help. Makes it very difficult for me to manage all of that because I'm just one person. And email, I get an email response from a lot of these things that something happened, but I still have to go there and do it. You see where I'm going with this? There's a lot of management for all of that. This app is intended for the streamlining of that entire process. So you can come in here, you can start a new thread, you can submit your question. If you are working on a formula that you need help debugging, drop your formula inside here. There's a space for you to apply any additional notes, anything else I need to know, what else? You can upload a CSV. Now, that's not necessary in most cases, but if you're working on something that's highly specific and you feel it would be necessary to understand what's going on with some row data, grab a CSV. Like, I don't need the whole thing, just a couple of records, you know what I mean? The headers and like whatever record or whatever we're dealing with, drop it in there. And if you're dealing with like parent-child relationships and you feel it would be helpful to have a sample of both of those things, I've given you a space to input parent and child level records information. And then the last thing on here is you just got to fill in your name, right? Who are you? Your name, your email. That way I can get back to you. This will send you a confirmation that I have received your email, and then I will get to it over time. This is a part of the thing. I'm trying to set up my week so that like once a week or maybe 3 times a week, or I don't know, figure it out. At some point during the week, I look at all these questions and answer them all. Now, if you sign up for, so if we go to support tiers, if you sign up for student, obviously, you have priority response over anybody that's just coming to the public app and asking a question there. Same thing for if you're an initiate, you have priority response over the students. And same thing for the apprentices. You have priority over the initiates, over the students, over everybody else. So if you would like to get priority support from me for your project so that you can get my eyeballs on what you got going on and get a healthy back and forth going on, head on over to multitechvisions.com/answer portal today. All right, that's enough of that. Let's dive into the news. There's been some good stuff. All right, the first thing that I want to touch on is in the community, they always like to do a review, like they were doing monthly reviews. I think they still kind of do them, but holiday season, whatever. But Roderick put out a review for the year of 2022 in review. And there's a lot of really good stuff inside here. If you can see, so like, here's the stats at a glance, right? So, almost 50,000 new members, 4.3 million minutes were spent by members in the community. There were over 1 million visits to the community itself. Members contributed 54,000 posts and gave 51,000 kudos. Users suggested more than 1,600 features, and we have provided over 4,000 solutions. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. There we go. They talk about top contributors from the AppSheet team, from the people in the community. They go over some of the top posts that are out there. What are some of the best conversations and everything. Everything is littered with all kinds of links to take you to wherever you want to go. Massive, massive meta post right here. There's a lot of really good stuff inside here. I'd suggest you head over there and check it out. Now, unfortunately, I got a little bit of sad news here. A couple of weeks ago, Steve announced that he was no longer going to be a part of the Google team. He's still going to be involved in like taking his time out of his day and answering questions in the community, but he's no longer a part of the actual Google team. A couple of weeks later, unfortunately, we saw Praveen say the same thing. So there's a really good post over here where he talks about what's going on. I would suggest you head on over there at some point. I'll put these links in the description. Yeah. I got to get better about doing that before. But yeah. He talks about all of the difficulties that he faced over time and some kind of touches on pseudo future plans. There's another post that he put out here where it's a deep appreciation for Steve Coyle. So it's nice, long, loving letter to Steve from Praveen, and it's very much earned. Do you know what I mean? Steve's been there since the beginning, and yeah, it's a sad day to see him leave. And then now we're losing Praveen too. Now, he was the man that pioneered all of this. You know what I mean? Like, this is his brainchild, him and a few other guys. And, you know, I'm pretty sure I speak for a lot of people when I say my life would not be the same if it wasn't for him and his idea and the team that took that and made it a reality. Like, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if that wasn't a thing. So, massive appreciation, huge kudos over there. Kind of gets me teary-eyed when I think about it sometimes, but yeah, we'll move on. The last thing I'm going to talk about in this news is the big thing. All right, this is exciting. All right, if you were on the Google Next thing that they had going on earlier last year, they talked about how they were soon to release chat apps. Ladies and gentlemen, they're here. Yeah. And the real fun thing, they're for core subscriptions too. Yeah, they listened to us. They heard us complaining that like, I don't know, maybe whatever. But like, yeah. So the AppScript connector will be available for users in the AppSheet Core plan and above, which is also available for the Workspace Enterprise plans. Users in the AppSheet Starter plan can test the feature, learn more later on. So there are some finer points to keep in mind, such as there are certain actions that are not supported. So when you're dealing with an AppSheet app inside Google Chat, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. I'll touch on that a little bit in a few minutes. Some of the things that you can't do, right? So these are the things to keep in mind, what you can't do right now. You can't export a CSV. You can't import a CSV. And this is kind of the important one that I was kind of like, you can't execute a group action. So a lot of the automation, that's a poor word to use, a lot of the streamlining of things where I can do it on one button push. And it's like, okay, create this record, update that parent, hit a flag inside whatever, and then do the right? Like I can do all of those with one thing. Unfortunately, for now, you can't do that inside chat apps. Another thing that you can't do is the action confirmation settings. So it does not include the ability to have a confirmation or the confirmation message to pop up, nor do you have control over the prominence, but that doesn't really apply in this instance. But the confirmation message, that's like critical for certain things. Do you know what I mean? Like that is the thing that restricts if an action runs or not. And so if somebody is able to execute the thing and they do so in the chat app, it's going to go. And maybe it shouldn't based on like, we'll only push this if the order is closed. Like, well, the order's open, so they should have been able to push it, but they pushed it through the chat app. So just things to keep in mind. Now, what can you do? So if you go to the announcement page, there's a lot of really good information on here. And the documentation for this is also incredibly detailed. There's a lot of really, really good stuff going on. So like, here you go. What can you do? So the general basics, right? You can look up for information. You can do some tasks. You can, let me see, there's a nice summary of all, here we go. Yeah, here we are, right here. All right. You can deploy a chat app, customize, blah, 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 share and build, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking for, yeah, here we are. So you can navigate through your AppSheet app via chat. You can trigger automations by sending approvals to the managers, blah, 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 blah. You can see table and row data directly into the chat. You can add or update content. You can search for and see data all within the chat. You can get notified when someone changes or on a particular schedule. For example, notify a stakeholder when a PO project status changes for whatever. Yeah, obviously there's a lot. There's a lot here, right? There's a lot to unpack. I'm scratching the surface, not even really scratching it. Truth be told, haven't really dug into this a whole lot, but I will in the coming weeks and let you know what I find in the future. I'm curious to know what you all are excited about for the chat apps, what you are hoping you'd be able to do. A lot of these ideas that everybody throws out kind of drive where I move in the future. So if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments below. All right, enough of that. Let's get to this giant, complicated thing of running serial executions in parallel. All right, so what am I talking about? I'm talking about, let's say I have an action stack, right? Where maybe it's a loop that runs, where I'm saying for each of those things, make that. Or maybe it's the idea of I need to create 5 records for this parent. Like when I save this, I'm going to put the number 5 in the thing and I want it to go and create the 5. And maybe the details inside those 5 records are dependent upon the number of the record that it is. For instance, I want to generate 5 POs. So because whatever, that's what I'm trying to do, right? And I want my PO numbers to be like PO1, PO2, 3, 4, 5. So obviously when I run that, right? So some system needs to be in place that can tell the app what number the record belongs to. The way that you do it inside like loops, right, is you would just do like a count, like count go through the parent link and get the related child list on the parent table, the related whatevers, right? Wrap that in a count and then +1 to that. Okay, but you can't do that if you're executing that thing in automation. Why? Automation runs in parallel, meaning all right, so the number of parallel chains that you have is dependent upon the license that you have. So the starter has 2, the core has 4, and the enterprise has 10. So what does all of this mean? So it's just like, the best way to think about it is like, okay, I have a computer sitting on my desktop right here. You got a computer at home. You have a phone. That's a single thing, right? Servers, right? A supercomputer is a whole bunch of those all connected together, all running in parallel. That's the same analogy for what's going on here. When you sync your app and it gets to the AppSheet server, there's X number of parallel processing chains started based on your license. So I have the core, so I have 4. So now back to what we're dealing with, serial executions. If I'm doing something where I'm saying this record's number is equal to the count of the related whatevers +1. Well, if I have 4 of those running at the same time, if we start that off and the count is 0, it's going to be 1, 1, 1, 1. And then it's going to run another group of 4, and it's going to be 5, 5, 5, 5, and it's going to run another group of 4. It's going to be 9, 9, 9, 9. It's always going to go up by 4. You get me? Okay, so how can we solve that problem? AppSheet, there's a billion ways to do anything, right? So, do I have that?
Where are you going? Another way. Always another way.
Hey. So, what can we do? All right, well, I have been toying with this idea of what I call a parallel processing record. And if you go into the answer portal and you go to the resources and tools section, you'll see there is a parallel processing records, PPR entry in here that generally breaks down what I'm talking about. So what is a PPR? It's a table that helps you implement serial execution of modifications to records in parallel, as in the number needs to be equal to the number of the record, right? Okay, so if I show you what this looks like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm talking about. All this table is a single column where there's nothing but numbers in here. And how many you want to include is entirely up to you. The link inside the answer portal will take you to a sheet that I put together where I've got a couple of things down here. I got one with 10, one with 5, one with 1,000 records. And so the idea, you don't need to copy this, but like, this is just for an example. So, but the idea is, right? So this record has the number 1. This record has the number 14. This record has the number 30. So if I'm trying to, let me go back here. There we go. Sorry, technical difficulties. So if I'm trying to execute something where I changed the table there, I had to put it back. So if I'm trying to execute something where I'm saying, okay, we'll set this PO equal to the number that this record is, but I'm doing it 4 at a time, it doesn't work. But if I bring in the idea of this parallel processing record, right? Okay, well now I can be like, you're number 1, you're number 2, you're number 3, you're number 4. Now there's obviously like, this is going to be different in how I'm executing the thing that I'm executing, right? Like the way that I go about this, it's got to be a little different. But the easiest, like this is a very complex, it's like a lateral thinking type of thing. So it's like working your way around the problem. So it's difficult to kind of put the pieces together. The best way that I kind of came up with to explain this is I'm going to piggyback off of looping. So looping with actions is already a rather difficult thing to figure out. You know what I mean? But that is the best place to kind of set up how to move forward. Because when you build your loop, right, you're going to have all of this stuff that has like the remaining whatevers and the count whatever. You're going to have all of these bits and pieces already in place so that it works when I push the button. But when I try and push the button through a bot, it doesn't work. But we can modify that in a few key ways that will make it work. And then once you get that working, you can then like play with that, execute it, and you can kick it off a whole bunch of times and like, okay, kick it and then go over here and look at what happened. And then you can start to put together how this sort of thing is working. And then it's easier to adapt this parallel processing idea to whatever scenario you're working on. Now, before I dive into the how, I'm going to show you the test app that I made to basically see all of this work. So, this is a highly complex thing. And you know me, like, I'm all about the complex of the complex of the complex of the complex. And so like when I was building this, like I got this simple thing to work and I was like, oh, hey, cool, it worked. I wonder if I can add this. Yep. I wonder if I can do this too. Yep. How about this? Yep. How about that? Yep. And I just kept adding more craziness into this thing to the point to where eventually got to a point where I was like, I kind of stopped, took a step back and was like, I'm gonna have to explain this to somebody. Oh, well. So here's my app. What do I got going on? So there's a few key things to pay attention to. So the idea is I have companies. Companies have locations. And for each of these locations, I want to do X number of tasks at that location daily, which means on the days, I want to have a task that's already there, ready for the person that needs to like click on the thing to say that they did whatever they did. You follow what I mean? Okay, so this is what's going on. So companies and locations, tasks sits over here by itself. And then this daily task assignments is kind of like a join between daily tasks and locations, right? And then The weird one down here, this PPR one, is the PPR. Okay, so what do I have here? So if we go to companies, I can kind of familiarize you with the situation. So the idea is I can come in here and I can create a new company, and then the company has locations, right? And then one of the complications that I threw in here was, well, I want to have company business days too. So only the days when the business is open get a task. Okay. So I can come in here and I can specify this is, so like here's the one that I was working on this morning. I have this Nutrion. They're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They have a storefront and a warehouse. Okay. So once you have that sort of like, okay, these are the things that I want to capture data against, right? Okay. The other side of that is, what is it that you're trying to capture? If this is sounding like that inspections app that I have, it should, because it's basically the same thing. So if we go back here, I have daily tasks, right? So this is my list of the tasks that I want to accomplish. At 9 a.m., I want to open the business. At 9:30, we need to check the mail and turn on the machines. At noon, we need to water the plants. At 4:50 p.m., we need to send an email update to the owner. Right? Okay. Now, the idea is I can come in here to my task and I can select what's the time, what company does it belong to, what location do I need to do that for? And then it will propagate all of those for that thing. So okay, so that's that. So this will give me like this company, this location, and then like a list of tasks that need to be completed. Okay, now I want to populate all of the tasks that need to be done for like a year. Like I want all of the records just to be done already. They're already there. They're waiting for you. If you want to like go to September of this year and make some notes on the records up there, they're there waiting for you. Okay, so how can I do that? I could do a loop where I could be like, okay, create a record where it's today plus one, and then get the last date plus one, and the last date plus one, and the last date plus one, and the last date plus one. See where I'm going with that? That would keep working, and then I just have to tell it stop at some point. Like keep going until the date is January 1st of 2024, right? So like, okay, and it'll just keep going. But then I have all those inside my app. How can I do this through automation? So if I show you my automation that I have, I've got this propagate dates. So if I come in here and I show you this new step, okay, the way that I'm accomplishing this is through the AppSheet API. And what I've done is I said from the daily tasks, I need to execute an API thing on the daily task assignments. And what I'm doing is I'm adding records. Okay, now this is where it gets crazy. Prepare yourself. This is nuts. Bring it in here so you can read it. Okay, so like, yeah. So what are we doing? We're adding, we've got a little whatever up at the top. Okay, and then we get into this rows. And then you can see we have this immediate right here at the beginning. Start the daily task companies. What is that? If we go back, and we're executing an action on the daily tasks. So if I come in here, we come down here and we see this daily task has a list of companies, right? So I'm saying this task needs to be propagated to these companies. And then the other thing that I'm selecting is out of those companies, what are the locations that we need to do? Okay. So now if I go back to my thing, so I'm saying start the companies. And then from here, we're now in the context of the company record because we've started the company record. So theoretically, there's one or more inside there. So we're now starting the first thing. So now we're in the context of the company layer, which means all of my formulas and everything need to be from the context of the company. So if I come back here, this related locations, right? That is a column. That's the virtual column on the companies table. That is the related locations, right? That's the thing that the system created for me when I made the reference. Okay, so I'm doing an intersect of all of the locations from that company and this row minus 1 daily task locations. Okay, so if I go back here and I go to the daily task and like, let's make a new one. And I just come down here and I say, right, so here's my companies. So like, I'm going to do it for all the companies. And then I have this list of all of the locations. I'm going to do all the locations, right? Okay, so now if we look at that, I've got two lists here, right? I've got a list of companies, and then I've got a list of locations that correspond to these. Now, if I go to this, right? So I have a list of companies, and then I have a list of locations. Okay, so now this intersect here, what this is doing is it's saying, this intersect here, what this is doing is it's saying, take the master list of locations from the company and find what's coming in the list of these things that I selected back here. So like, for instance, back here in the app, if I restrict this to just this Nutrion company, right? So I've got these two things here. So what if I do something like this, where it's like, okay, well, I only have one of these selected. Okay, well, I can come in here and I can say, give me the master list of all of them, intersect that with the thing that I selected here, and that gives me the one out of the master list that I selected. That's how I can get it to where when I have all of these different things selected like this, where it's just a jumbled up mess. Like I've got stuff from MultiTech Visions, I've got the test company too, they're all in here. By doing this intersect thing, I'm able to conditionalize the results to just the company that I'm working on when I'm doing this little processing thing. Because if we go back here, the first start was start the list of companies, which means I'm in a company at that point, right? Like I'm in the MultiTech Visions company. And so then I'm saying, cool, all of the MultiTech Visions locations intersected with the daily task locations, and that will give me this list of location records. Start that now. So now I'm in layer 2 of the locations for the companies. And now from the locations, like this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create date records for locations, right? So, but I have to start with like, well, what companies did I select? All right, now out of that company, what locations did you select? Okay, now for those locations, let's create a bunch of records. But we need to restrict these. And this is where it gets crazy, and I'm gonna brush past this thing here because you can see it's nuts, right? Okay, what am I trying to do? The ultimate goal here with this select statement of the PPR is I'm trying to pull in a number of records that equal the things that need to be made, right? Like I'm trying to make 5 things. Okay, then that means that I need a select statement to pull 5 records from my PPR table, right? So then I have records 1 through 5. And then once I have those, then I can be like, let me skip all this. Then I can be like, let's actually make the record, right? Set the company to this row minus 2. So that's like 2 layers back. The location to this row minus 1 layer back. And then the task is this row minus 3. That's 3 layers back because that's the actual task record itself is the one 3 layers back. You got to remember, like we're doing nested things here, right? So like the first layer, the thing that kicks it off is the task. Then we're like companies, and then we're like locations, and now we're in PPR. But then get the daily task. And then this is where the PPR comes in. The date, right? So the date is the column where I need to say, like if, the date +1, the last +1, so that it's always moving forward, right? So I can't do the +1 anymore. What I need to do instead is I need to say, add to you whatever the PPR number is. Like number 1 is number 1. Number 15 is number 15. Number 43 is 43. You get where I'm going with this? I can execute that sort of thing in parallel. because it's no longer count the number of things over there and then plus 1 to it. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, here's some starting number, 0 maybe, you know what I mean? And add to that whatever number the parallel processing record is that we're currently processing. So I can do 4 at a time because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the fourth one has the number 4 to actually work with. And so you can see here on my formula, the date equals this row minus whatever the projection start date. So that gets me my starting point plus the PPR. This bit right here, this is the important thing, plus the PPR. That gets it to where the system says, if I'm number 15, add 15. If I'm number 1,453, add that big number to it. You get where I'm going? And in this way, I can execute a serial execution that would normally have to go in a loop in parallel. Crazy, right? Crazy. Crazy complex. There's a reason I didn't share the app because it's nuts. That formula, like I didn't even touch on it. It's nuts. The easiest way that I kind of settled on to explain this is to take looping with actions, right? And just take that and modify the little bits that we need to do so that it'll run through automation instead of running through actions, right? And again, the purpose there is you'll be able to execute that a couple of times, and over a few of those, you'll eventually be able to be like, okay, this is what's in the app. These are the records that spit out. This is connected to that, and this is that, and these are this, and this is that, and this is okay. It kind of makes sense now. Okay, so in order to get started, the best place to go is, I should have put a link down, of course. Go to my AppSheet portfolio and make a copy of my Looping with Actions sample app. That's what I'm going to start with. I did that before the live stream, and I'm going to call this Looping with Automation. But this is literally just a copy of that other, the Looping with Actions sample app that I have. I didn't change anything. I was going to change the names because the situation for this, like products and orders and order details, like that doesn't really kind of fit the scenario for what we're doing, but whatever. I'm just going to roll with it, right? So what I want to do is, so I have my order. So if I come in here, just a refresher, I can come in here and I can say I want product 1, 2, 3, and then like these last ones down here. And then there you go. What it did is it created the records for me, but you can see it executed that in a loop because now I've got to wait for all of these records to go away, to go to the cloud one by one. Instead, what I want to do is I want to execute this in parallel through automation. Okay, so if we come here, we kind of dig into how this works, right? So on the orders, you can see here's my loop, right? So if I just open up all the parts for the loop, so we go to, there's the repeater, and here's the actual loop. Okay, so my loop is create the thing, repeat, and then do some order fulfillments at the end. All right, so I'm not going to do the fulfillment things. That's for something else. So I might as well just get rid of those automatically. All right, so I need to make this first order. So the thing we need to do is we need to look at what is this and how does it work. So if we go to that action, okay, this is the repeater. And here we go. Here's the execute. New first order detail. Here we go. All right, so this is the thing that's actually making what's going on. And you can see the product, right, is the result of just pulling the first thing out of this remaining products to be created, right? Now, we can't do that because if I was to run this through parallel, I'm running it 4 at a time. All 4 of these are going to be the first thing because they're all going to grab that first thing. So the number inside this formula is the thing that I need to change. Do you follow what I mean by this? Like instead of adding 1 to this, instead what I need to do is I need to change this so that that's the PPR, right? Now you don't do that here. I would leave all of this alone. This is all going to be done through the AppSheet API and creating that code thing that's over there. But this is the idea of what we need to do. And this remaining products to be created, that is like this formula, this index, whatever, this is literally the thing that we need to do inside the automation call. We just need to take all of this and move it, essentially. So let's start all of that off. So if we go to automation, let's start a new bot, and let's say this is make order details in parallel, right? And we're going to say this is a new order. On the new order, I'll do it when we save. And it's on the orders. And then like I can even do something where like, and the count of the order products does not equal, I don't need an and here, just the count. And so the count of the products does not equal the count of the created products. All right, if that's true, run this. Okay, and what do I want to do? I want to make order details, right? And this needs to be call a webhook. The thing I want to do is it's on the orders table. I want to AppSheet API. And if we come down here, expand this a little bit, grab whatever's inside here, copy it, and let's go to a text editor and put that in there. Okay. Thing that I usually do is like, I'll get rid of these properties up here. I'll leave the locale. And then we don't want to edit. We need to add, right? And then, zoom in a little bit more for it, make it a little easier to read. And then come in here, between these square brackets, this is where we put the actual rows that we're trying to do. And so like what I need to do is, now this is where I always stop, and the easiest way to like make sure you're following the right path is to come to the AppSheet documentation and look for API add, right? And like you'll find this first help article here about how to invoke the API, which is going to be some stuff I'll cover here in a couple of seconds, but then how to add a record, right? So like this is the part that I'm more concerned about, is this down here, all of this stuff, right? I want to see how did they formulate all of this, right? So like I got this rows square bracket thing, but I don't have anything in the middle. Okay, well this is all the stuff in the middle. And if you look at this, right, you've got a curly bracket, and then you have in quotes the name of the column, a colon, and then in quotes the name of the value that it needs to be. And it's just all the way down. So like, well, in quotes because it's a text, but like here, age is a number, so it's not, right? But like you can see how this is working, right? And like whatever I need to set these things to, I put that value here. Now, if I keep coming down here, so what happens when a record is added? So all the fields are initialized to their initial values and the app formulas are computed, right? That's the first thing that happens when you're adding a record through the API, right? So just so you can keep in mind what's happening when this runs. First thing it does is it initializes all of the initial values and the app formulas. Then the field values that you specify in the request are applied. After that, the app formulas are recomputed and the change fields are updated, if you have any of those. Any required if, and valid if conditions are then enforced. And then the record is added to the table. After that, automation workflows, if any, are kicked off individually for each row. And at the very end, the added records are returned in the HTTP content, which you can then do some other stuff with if you wanted to. So that is what happens when you're adding it in there. That's nice to know because you know all your initial values and app formulas are going to happen first. Then whatever you're telling it to use for values, then those are applied. And then app formulas are recomputed again. Then all of your restrictions and things are applied and then it's saved. So you know all of these things are going to happen when you're throwing it through the API. It's good stuff to know. So if I come up here back to this little green bit, right? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this little curly bracket thing right here. I'm just going to copy the whole thing. And I'm going to go back to my thing. And I'm going to put that in between these square brackets here. All right. So now I've got a relative placeholder for all of the things that I need to do, right? But let's indent these so they make sense. They need to be like that. And then this can be back here. And this can be back here, right? I don't need that comma. Okay, so now obviously these column names are not my column names, right? So let's go and change my column names. All right, so I'm going to go back to my thing, and I'm going to go to my table that I'm trying to add records to. What table am I trying to add to? So if I go here, I'm trying to add order details. That's what I'm trying to get records into. So if we go look at the columns for this, we can see what are the required columns that I have to set. Like I have to do this, right? So the detail ID, but this one automatically does itself. Okay, cool. So I don't need to worry about that. It'll do what it's supposed to do. Okay, now the order link, I have to set this to something, right? Okay, so if I go back to my code, if I copy the name of the column, then go back to my code, we can change this first column right here and put that there. All right, now what's the value that I need to set this to? Okay, well, keep in mind, go back to my automation and go back to my API call. Keep in mind, right? Okay, so we are executing, we're creating records in the order detail, but we are executing it on the orders table, which means, okay, a very good way to think about this is the way that you're building these things, the method, like the ones and twos of setting up all of this code stuff inside, setting up this. Okay, the way that you're going to go about this, setting this up, is the same way that you set up nested start expressions inside a PDF template, right? So like I'm printing a report and I want it to be a PDF, and in that report I'm like, you know, it's a report for this order and it's got these line items and these line items have these whatevers, right? So I got to nest these things. Okay, all of that starts from the order. The order is the top. It's the same thing here. All of this starts from the order, which means I can access the order detail, the order record values, just like I would if I was printing a PDF. The exact same way that I do it there is the exact same way that I do it here inside this code thing that I'm making for the API. Okay, so like what would I do? All right, well, if I wanted to set the order link to the order link inside of a PDF, what I would do is I would do this like this thing, right? Like, you know what I mean? I would, this like caret, square bracket, and then like the name of the column and then close it. Okay. The key bit here is when you're working with the API like this, that code thing that you would use, the curly bracket thing, has to be inside the quotes. You make sure you include the quotes because it's a text value that needs to be there. Okay, so if I zoom out, what does this need to be? This needs to be the ID of the order from the order table, because that's where I'm executing things from. Not the order details, from the orders. The order ID. This is the parent, right? So if I copy this, we go back to my code. This is the thing that I need to put right here. Whoa, the sun just, holy crap, came out. Just got really bright. All right, so my order link is going to be set to the order ID. All right, now I'm going to get rid of the rest of these because these don't apply. But we know what we need to do now is I need to essentially just kind of copy this. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to copy it here. What's the next thing that I need to set? So if we go back to my order details table, right? So this is the record that I'm creating things in. So I set the order link to the parent that's running. Now I need to set the product. Okay, well, the formula that I need to set this is in this action back in my loop. So if I come back to that action, this thing that's actually making the thing that's actually doing the whatever, right? Come down here to this order product and get that formula that you used right there. Just grab that whole thing. Grab it. Come back here, and I'm going to drop that inside this. It has to be inside the little caret things because it's just like we're inside of a PDF template. Okay, but it's not the order link. It's this order product details, right? So I'll just copy it from here. It's the product for this order detail, right? So the order is the order and the product is the first thing out of the remaining whatevers. All right, well, we can't just leave it like that because that one, again, if I execute this in parallel, all of them are going to be the first thing. It's the number one that I have to change. I have to change the number one to the parallel processing record. Okay, so this is where we bring in the start expression, right? So this is the thing that I want to create for each record that needs to be made, right? So now above that, I come in and I'm going to start a new start expression. Okay, this start expression needs to be a select statement that pulls a number of records from the PPR table equal to the number of things that need to be done. This is why I did looping, because why we already have that. Like at the very beginning, when this thing first kicks off, that remaining products to be created has the number that it needs to be, right? But we can go a little more robust than that. And we can go to the source of where that remaining thing gets all of its stuff. So if we go to the orders and we look, we have this remaining products to be created, and we go to its formula, we can see its formula is the order products minus the created products, right? Okay. So that won't work in parallel, right? Because 4 of these are going to go off at once. And so like when it's looking for created products, that doesn't work anymore, right? Okay, so what is it we're trying to do? We're trying to pull a number of records from the PPR table that is equal to the number of things we need to make. So go back in the looping thing, right? And there's a place where you specified, these are the things I want you to make. That's the thing that you need to count. So if we come in here, like I've got this order products, right? That is the thing where I'm saying, if I go here and I make a new order, it's this list where I'm saying I want these things, right? Okay. There you go. It even made it when I didn't want it to do. So what I need to do is I go back to my code, to my start, and I'm going to say select the PPR or the PPR, select the PPR, where the PPR is less than or equal to the count. Now remember, all of this is from the orders table, right? So I can just come here, copy this column, and throw that right here. Count that, right? And then close my select, close my start. All right, what did I just do? Okay, I'm saying select for me the PPR or the PPR and the PPR. I'll get select for me these records, blah, 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 where the number, right? Because the PPR, that is a number, where the number is less than or equal to the count of how many things we need to do. So if I select 5 things, it's going to give me records 1 through 5. If I have 50 things, it's going to give me records 1 through 50. You with me here? Okay, stick with me. Now, so this gives me the PPR records that I need, and then it starts this, right? And so now I want it to do that for each of the things, and so I go to the end of this, drop down, and that's where I do my end, right? So between here and here is going to be repeated for every item inside that PPR select statement. Again, so if I have 5 things, there's 5 records there, and it starts with number 1, right? So The last thing we need to do here is we need to modify that pesky little number. And I think you already know what we need to do. We need to drop the PPR there. That's the thing that we need to change. So if we come back here, we come here and we just copy this, come here to the number, delete it, and drop the PPR right there. Just like that. All right, now before we can run this, we need to add a PPR table to our app. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to go to the data source for this app, close some of these tabs, and I'm going to make a PPR sheet, right? So new sheet, I'm going to give it the name PPR. And what is this? I'm going to give the column name PPR, and then it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you can do that, and then like, how many of these things do you want? You know what I mean? How far? How many records are you gonna want to be able to make? You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go. Well, there's like 500 and some odd right there. Works for me. So if I go back to my app now and refresh, so if I save my settings that I did, yep, it's broken. That's fine. Now I'm going to add my PPR table. There you go. The suggestion's already there for me. The only thing I need to do is make sure that the column in this is a number. It should automatically, yep, cool, good to go. All right, now back to my automation that's broken. And in here, right, now this PPR formula is going to work. Okay, so now I can copy this whole thing, come back here, come down to the body, and paste that inside there. The last thing that we need to do is the thing that this is complaining about is we need to turn on the API. Okay, the way that you do this is you come down here to Manage, you go to Integrations, you go to In, and then right here, there's the API. You just click Enable and create an access key, and you're done. I'm going to hit Save. All right. Now my automation is happy. You can see it's not complaining about anything. Let's try and run this, right? So, all right. So when I save a new order and the order products does not equal the created products, this thing will kick off, right? Okay. So let's go back to here. I'm going to go into my form. I need to remove the form save event because this would kick off an action stack that would make all of these records for me. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to remove that. Okay, now let's test it. So see if this works. So I should have products 1 through 5 when I come back and I look at the record that I just made, which I have no idea where it is. Let's put the newest one at the top. Okay, products. All right. So, oh, maybe it's because I forgot to save. Maybe that's what was going on here. Or yeah, maybe I need to deploy. I don't know. All right, well, let's try. So here we are. And okay, it didn't. That's because it didn't change. I need to change the record in order for it to recognize that something happened. Okay, it's not going to kick off on edits because I don't have edits turned on. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to turn edits turned on. Okay, now the bot will trigger on ads and updates so that I can come back to this thing and try, and I can come in here and I can be like, add product 9 to the mix and see if this will run. Okay, it's not running. Why? Let's go to monitor and let's see what the monitor tells us and why this isn't working. Hello to everybody in the live chat. If you got any questions, get them in. I am approaching the end of this segment. As soon as I get this to work, I'm moving on. Yeah, we got a couple errors. What are we doing? It starts with an invalid thing. Okay. Oh, yeah. If you look inside here, you can see there's some weirdness. There's like there's There's like a, you see like that right there? There's like a comma inside the thing. Like any little thing that's off like that's going to cause everything to go sideways. You have to be, with automation and the API, with the API like this, everything has to be pixel perfect. Okay, so where did that's this comma here. Okay, so, right, yeah, order link, comma, order link this, and if I make this wider, yeah, there we go. That, this, that, this, that, this, that. Okay. Copy this, come back here, drop it in there. All I'm going to do is save and verify just to see if there's any ancillary errors. Nope. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. So if I come in here and I add product 8 to the mix and kick it off. Nope. Didn't run. Okay. Come back here. Let's see why. It didn't even give me a new record. Yeah, didn't even give me a new record that it ran. Like, maybe it's just trailing behind. There it is. Let's see. Failed to parse JSON due to after parsing a value, an unexpected character was encountered. How so? Oh, it'd be nice if they gave me the whole error message. Okay. Well, if I want the whole error message, I'm going to go back here to manage. I'm going to go to monitor. I'm going to go to audit history. I'm going to go to launch log analyzer. And in here, I can come and find, yep, here we go. Here's the bot process itself with the error. And in here, I can get the whole error message right there. I'm going to copy that, come back here. Let's see what it says. So, failed to blah, 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 blah. Oh, they didn't. They cut it off. Damn it, guys. All right, let's see if we can dig through this a little bit. Okay, right? So there's that, this, with a comma. Yeah, okay, so it's building each of these appropriately, right? If you look at this one little thing by itself, that is how it's supposed to be, right? Yep, that ID is the right ID. And I'm betting that's what it's supposed to be. So what? Man, it would really be nice to be able to get that whole thing. Now I'm trying to rack my brain of like, how can I print that in some way so that I can read it? Because that's what I need to do. Clearly, there's a problem with like something at the end. You know what I mean? Like there's a problem at the end of this, but they're truncating the error so that I can't see the end. And there's no way for me to test this because of how all of this is put together. So I can't debug the problem. This is the difficulty with working with automation. With working with the API is like you run into a whole bunch of stuff like this where it's like, yeah, hard edge. Not sure how to get around this. Maybe. All right. So let's look here. Let's see. No, the problem is something inside here. Like the problem is this. Like this is not. I don't even know. Okay. Oh. I bet you it's this right here. It can't be that. It needs to be order products. I bet you that's what was going on there. Yeah. I'd be really curious to see this actual error. I'd be really curious to see what that actual error looked like. All right. Now, the thing I changed was I was doing the index on the remaining products. I changed it to the original list of things that need to be done. Okay. Now, let's try this now. I have a feeling it will work now. I come in here. We add another product. And we save it. Still didn't work. Story of my life. It's going to work this time. Nope. Okay. Why? We're not telling you. Okay. Be nice if you would tell me. Nope, we're not going to. All right. I'll just keep trying to figure it out. Yeah, you keep giving me this thing at position 49 of this whatever, but you don't give me position 49. Or maybe that is, it's like, did it cut off right there? Like, is that it? Like the unexpected thing is like, this is the thing? Why would it do that? No, that can't be. That can't be what's going on. Cause like it worked. It does the first thing and then it starts doing the second thing and then it like dies halfway through the order. You know what I mean? All right, I'm going to move on. I'm not quite sure what the problem is on here. Very likely what's going to happen here is I'm going to go into my living room. I'm going to go decompress from live streaming like this and having people watching me. And there it is. It's going to pop into my head. If that happens, I'll do a post, like, you know, a YouTube post after this where I answer, this is what the problem was. Hey, look at it work now. But that's the general gist of getting all of that to work. If I show you, if you want to see this work, if I come back here to my PPR test app, so this is the one that I made previously, and I know this one works. All right, so what I'm going to do is let's make a new task, right? So if I come here to companies and we look at Nutrion, right? We've got all of these tasks that need to be done. And if I go to I have this little dashboard that I made where it's like, all right, MultiTech Visions in the warehouse. Here's the tasks that need to be done for today. Okay. Like I want to add stuff to this. I want to add a lock the business up type of thing, right? So if we come to tasks, we come in here, we say, close the business. We're going to do this every work day. We're going to do this at 5 p.m. at 5:05 p.m. Okay, we're going to do that for all of the companies. And the locations will be like, oh, this will be fun. See if it does anything. Like I'm not going to select any, this would be a test now. I'm not going to select any of these. And I'm only going to select, like 2 things from here. But MultiTech Visions doesn't have anything. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. Now, I built in all of this crazy advanced stuff in here to where it's like, all right, when do you want it to start? All right, well, I want it to start from today. I want it to project by date. And I want it to go all the way to January 1st of next year. And I want it to mark all the previous dates as complete. All right, now I'm going to save that. And I'm going to kick that through the thing. And I've got close the business. Now, if I come over here to MultiTech Visions, and I should see on MultiTech Visions, no things for the close the business. Happy days. If I go to Nutrion, right, and I go to the storefront, I come in here, we look in here. All right. Maybe it didn't kick off. Oh, we figure that I broke something. Man, story of my life. Hey, look at this awesome thing. Doesn't work. Of course, doesn't work. Let me try one more. So close the business. If I look at close the business, it didn't make any of the items. I wonder why this didn't run. Like this literally ran 2 minutes before I went live because I did a test 2 minutes before I went live and it worked. Story of my life. Oh my God. Yep. Yeah. Nope. Wrong thing. That is not the right one. PPR test. Here we are. Let's see. All right. Okay. Yeah. It's reporting that it ran. All right. Okay. So it's green across the board. And let's come back into here. And let's not do the weird thing that I was doing. And let's just try and do a straightforward thing. Like, I want you to propagate all these dates for these things. Like, just do that. Can you be normal? Nope. All right, we're moving on. No, you don't want to be happy? Well, maybe. You see how it took a little while there? Hey, all right, there we go. All right, now it worked. So we've got close the business. And you can see here's one for the storefront for Nutrion. And here's another one for the same date for the warehouse. If I go to my dashboard doesn't really show the dates, does it? But you can see them over here. So it does work. And if I show you, there's like, if I show you all of them, like, yep. January, let me zoom in a little bit, right? January, and then like one for every day. 1, 2, 6, 8. That's because I skipped some days. 3, 4, look at this. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way to the first of the next year. So it does work. It's just, I don't know, I got some kind of bug in it. Figures. To show you my script once more, the thing that's running. That's it. I don't see anything wrong with this at all. Like if I zoom in big time, right? You know, like, yep, nope. The closing thing right there, right? So you've got square bracket. You've got opening bit. You've got curly bit. Ah, yeah. You're right. You nailed it, Oscar. There is another one. This orphan. Okay. Story of my life, right? Let me open this app again. So if we come back here, we go to looping with automation. Yeah, this needs one more closing curly bracket. See? Man, one little thing is off. That's the way it goes. Thanks, Oscar. You rock. Holy crap. You nailed that too, bro. Like, you nailed it like that. All right, let's see if that solves it. So if we come here, it would be nice if it would have caught that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, your thing's missing up. You'd think. All right. We come here to this one. We come back into the form. Come down here, add another product to the mix, and kick the automation. Kicked the pad, went pretty fast. Yeah. Now, I'm going to move on. You saw it work here. Like, look at the dates all the way. And the fun thing is, if you start looking through the dates in this test that I ran, like I did all kinds of things where it was like, well, we're only open on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And right, like I did a whole bunch of crazy things like that. If you were to like look at these dates and then compare these against a calendar to see what was actually going on, you'd see they lined up one for one. Like it did it absolutely perfect. I'll share this app with everybody so that you can see how this works, this crazy implementation of it. But hopefully I can get this looping with automation kind of figured out. Oscar nailed it right there. You see, it's still saying that there's a problem. It would be really nice to have this whole thing. Let's check and make sure. Yep, that's got everything in it. Let me copy this. Let me go back to my automation. Let me make sure that I drop, yep, and like you can even see the closing things are right there. Yep, they're all there. Yep. Let me try one more. 1, 2, 3. Kick it. Nah, it came back way too fast. Yeah, there's something funky inside here. All right, whatever. That's how it goes with that working with AppSheet, right? Story of my life. Let's move on to the questions. What is up, everybody in the chat? Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your comments, all the love, and everybody. I do appreciate it. Brian says that he has spent hours trying to work on this PPR thing. I kind of gave him some 1s and 2s about how this kind of works, but as you can see, it's not a straightforward, easy thing to get working. Even I can't get it to work half the time. Eventually, I'll find a smooth, like, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, you're done. Like, as soon as I find that, I'm going to make a video on how to do that. But, yeah, we're close. Thank you for all of the well wishes and everything. Tanjeet, I appreciate it. Room 001 has a question. How to show an image from the first child in a virtual column in the parent. I actually have a video for that. If you go to my YouTube channel and you search for last, would get it. Yep, there it is. I have a video that literally shows you how you can stop it. How you can get the last details out of whatever. Literally, the idea being like, I'm on, I have a parent and there's a last thing and I want to know what was the date from the last thing, or what was the total, or what was what's the image from the last thing. This sample app, that video, and the sample app that goes along with it, detail that for you right there. It's fairly straightforward. It's just an index formula. In fact, I can show you how to do that really fast. If I come over here to like the PPR, and like if I wanted to know, here we go, let me go to my automation one. So if I wanted to know, like on my order, what's the first product that was ordered, right? Okay, well, this column here, the related order details, is the list of the products. I extracted out of that with a list dereference here, the products. And so this column is a list of all the products. And so if I was to just say, what's the first thing in this list? That is the first product that was ordered, right? So come here to my virtual column. I'll just say index the created products, number 1, and close it. And that gets me the first product out of this whatever. If I didn't want to extract out the list to begin with, right? There's another easy way to do this. You can just you start off with index, and then you come down here and you say list the order details, and then right here, no dot between the two. This is a list dereference. Just right next to that, what is it that you want to get? So I'm in the order details table and I want the product, right? And so I'll put the product here. So that, and then finish my index. This does the same thing that first one does, but I don't have to create that other virtual column. I'm literally saying, take this list of order details, out of that, make a list of all of the products. Out of that list, give me the first one. Now, if I wanted to change this to where it was, I didn't want the first one, I wanted the last one, all I'd need to do is copy these little square bracket bits and come over here to where I have my number and change this to count, and then all of that square bracket stuff. So then if I make this a little cleaner, it's a little easier to read. So literally what I'm doing here is I'm saying, cool, here's a list of the orders. Out of that, make a list of the products. Out of that list, give me the count of all of the order products, right? So if there's 5, give me the 5th product. If there's 4, give me the 4th. If there's 52, give me the 52. That's how you do it. Head on over to that video and the corresponding sample app. You'll see how to do it. I see Tanjeed is asking for an online payment gateway API and how I can add it into an AppSheet app. I think that's been you that's been asking for how to do the like a Stripe payment. Somebody's been asking for that for a long time, and yeah, it's coming. Because if you head on over to MultiTech Vision /answers, you can sign up for a support tier, and that whole thing is completely automated. Like I got a script that's I set up this Stripe API to push stuff to a Google Sheet that I've got running as an API endpoint that grabs it and does whatever it's supposed to do, and then I have AppSheet that picks up the rest of the slack and continues a workflow after that. But it all starts off with you going to the support tiers and clicking on one of the subscribe things, right? That sends you a link to a Stripe thing. The Stripe thing, you pay that Stripe then throws that information back to this API endpoint that I made on a Google Sheet that then grabs that data, looks at it and says, is this one of these people? Yes. Hey, they just paid their thing. Cool. Happy days. And then I've got AppSheet that picks that up at 2 a.m. that says, is there anybody new that paid something? Yes. Do some stuff. It's coming very soon. Down the line, next month probably. Yeah. It's going to be, it will be a combination of, there'll be some scripts involved with this. And so like all of that stuff will be for all of my supporters, right? Any of the tiers get you access to all of this stuff. Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Happy days. that looks like all we've got inside the questions going on. Thank you, Tanjeed. Thank you, Room. Thank you, Room 001, Oscar, Pablo, Silva. What's up, buddy? And Brian, everybody that you showed up in the live chat. Thanks for stopping by. Let's move over here.